Alright, today is Thursday, October 12th of 2023, and I'm not sure how long I can actually make this video. So far, with recording on my phone, I've made up to a little bit over 10 minutes. But I'm not sure how much of what I want to talk about that I can actually fit in this video, but I'm going to try to fit it all in. Let's just see how this goes. And right now I'm actually holding a flashlight in one of my hands because it is nighttime and the lighting in my room is not so great, and I also had to take notes and have like a bunch of detailed notes for this video so that I could not only stay on topic but also so that I could remember what to say and not have too long of pauses. Now, of course, I didn't write out word for word what I was gonna say. I just wrote, like, bullet points of, like, topics and included a little bit of extra details here and there where I thought it was necessary. Sorry about the glare on my glasses. I don't think my glasses are, like, super clean at the moment, so I think that's part of why there's such a glare on it. But anyways, in this video, I wanted to talk about my depression. I mentioned that in the last video, and that has a lot to do with my memory problems. But of course, that's not like the only thing that is the cause of my memory problems. My doctor actually referred me to ADHD testing. I told my doctor about my memory problems, and my doctor referred me to ADHD testing. And based off of some things I found out, I suspect that has a lot to do with my memory problems. And I have yet to actually have gotten a diagnosis for that. I have an appointment in December, so I gotta wait a while, but hopefully then I'll be able to find out what's going on, or at least have like a better idea of what's going on. Anyways, I want to start with talking about the job that I used to work at. It was in 2021. I think it was in April of 2021 that I started working at a store. I don't actually want to name it. I'm not really sure, though, like, what I'm allowed to talk about with that. But anyways, the store that I worked at, I worked overnight, like what some people refer to as a graveyard shift. I did not adjust very well to it. My sleep schedule was inconsistent. I learned very quickly that I was not able to sleep very well during the daytime. Even when I was using a blackout curtain. And I was told by other people that it would take me time to adjust, but I just never really did. I never really adjusted. Not enough, at least. And so my job was very hard on me, both physically and mentally. There was bullying going on in the workplace. There was a lot of stress involved, of course, and combine that stuff with me not being able to sleep very well, and that led to me becoming depressed. I was very isolated as well because I was sleeping for the most part during the day, and was awake at nighttime, so that isolated me from my family, and I was so tired I wasn't really wanting to spend a whole lot of time really interacting much with anybody outside of when I absolutely had to, like at work and stuff. And I was very tired, like all the time. I didn't have a lot of motivation to do much of anything at times. I was under a lot of stress, both at work and at home. I became very forgetful. I was unable to rely on my memory to be able to really properly reflect on things and make peace with things that had happened to me both at work and at home. I had forgotten and been unable to remember a lot of memories from my childhood and other points in my life, and a lot of my loss of memory resulted in a loss of my sense of self, like my self identity. And I had a lot of trouble figuring out what I wanted to do with my life. I had a lot of trouble figuring out my likes and dislikes. A lot of things that I used to enjoy doing, I lost interest in. Some of those things I've now been able to pick back up and enjoy them again. Other things are just gone. But I worked at that job for about 8 months, and I finally quit about a week before the end of 2021. And of course, my boss did not like that I quit, and I tried to give a 2 weeks notice, but he was not accepting it and was saying that if I gave a 2 weeks notice that he'd have to fire me because of something with company policy or whatever. And of course I was very skeptical of that, but I just decided that 2 weeks from that day that I was going to quit. And so I did. I just didn't come in, and I cut my ties with that company. The pay was really great, and I had a lot of hours. I worked full time. I had a very consistent schedule. For the most part, same hours, same days, Monday through Friday. And the pay was nice, but it just wasn't worth it anymore, so I had to leave. And I spent about a year without having a job, just spending time trying to figure out a lot of things about myself and trying to prepare myself for adult responsibilities. And I just had a lot that happened in seemingly so little of time, and I pretty much had to, I like to think of it as growing up real fast. Spent a lot of my childhood feeling behind and sheltered, and then when I finally got a job at the age of 19, I had a lot of responsibility that I had to deal with all of a sudden that I felt like at the time that I was not prepared for. And so I had to figure out very quickly what to do. Luckily, I was not alone. I had family and friends to support me, but I had a lot of difficulties communicating, and that made it difficult for me to get the help that I needed. That and my anxiety, me allowing my anxiety to prevent me from getting the help that I needed because I was too afraid. And so, back into more detail of those uh, sleep problems that I had when I was working at that job that I mentioned before, the one that I currently work at, which was in 2021. That job resulted in me having a lot of sleep issues, and so I experienced sleep deprivation. That was a big contributing factor to my depression. I, of course, was very low on energy because I could not get enough sleep. And not only did that negatively affect my memory, but it also affected my decision-making abilities. There was so much inconsistency with my ways of thinking that I could not trust myself to make reasonable decisions. And there were a lot of regrets, of course, a lot of mistakes. I would get so tired during my wakeful hours that I would drift in and out of consciousness while at home. I would randomly fall asleep. I would have to re-watch the same episodes of whatever show I was watching, like, over and over, because I would have difficulties paying attention and remembering stuff. And I would do things like overeating because I thought that that would help with the depression, and it did not. It made it worse. And oh yeah, of course, eating lots of ice cream, that tasted good, but it was not good for my health, and it just was not worth it. And I had a lot of issues with things like false awakenings. I would have one of those dreams where would I would think I was waking up, but I was really still asleep, and sometimes it would happen like in a way similar to like the movie Inception, something kind of like that, where I would have like layers of false awakenings, like layers of dreams, and that would really distort my sense of reality and confuse me. It was hard for me to tell whether I was awake or not. That was very scary. I would have a lot of sleep paralysis dreams. Those were very scary. Some of them would involve false awakenings. And a lot of it got so bad near the end of the period of time that I worked at that job during 2021. It got so bad near the end of that period of time that I was having to spend a lot of time at home trying to sleep, trying to get whatever minutes I could, and I felt like I wasn't hardly able to do anything that I wanted to do anymore, and it just didn't feel like it was worth it anymore. And during that period of time, before I got another job again, during 2022, I, at times, had slept up to around 12 hours a day. On average, I prefer to get around 8 hours of sleep a day. But there was a period of time where I was so tired, I got drained mentally so easily that I had to sleep up to like 12 hours a day. Another issue that I had a loss of ability to taste things. Not completely, but it was very difficult for me to have a very strong sense of taste during the times that my depression was the worst. That made eating feel like more of a chore than something that I could do for, like, enjoyment. Then again, eating isn't entirely supposed to be for enjoyment. You don't want to overindulge for health reasons, but it's still not very fun to not have much of a sense of taste, and then eating becomes a chore. And then, interestingly, depression built up, or I wouldn't say built up, but more like made me have an extra resistance to spiciness. So, in other words, I tried this Carolina Reaper hot sauce, and it wasn't like that hot to me. I wasn't like super experienced with spicy stuff. I mean, I liked really spicy stuff, but I wasn't like that experienced with spicy stuff, and yet it didn't seem to be that spicy to me. Not at first, of course. The first time I tried the Carolina Reaper hot sauce, it was like really spicy. Like I started like hearing voices and stuff and freaking out, and I took like a nap and had a horrible sleep paralysis dream. That was not a fun time. Turns out if you don't have much of a spice tolerance and you consume something that is really, really spicy, it can make you hallucinate. That is an actual thing, and it is very scary. It is not something to play around with. So make sure you build up your spice tolerance before you have something that spicy, or you will regret it. And anyways, I lost a lot of my motivation to do a lot of things. I lost a lot of my sense of self, my likes and dislikes. I lost a lot of my ability to control my thoughts. I had a lot of like racing thoughts. I had a lot of what is known as intrusive thoughts, a lot of times about unpleasant things. I would hear like, I don't want to say hearing voices as in like hallucinations necessarily, but more so like intrusive thoughts that were pretty much bullying me. I had to deal a lot with that. That was not very fun. My perception of time and reality were both distorted. I had a lot of just me wanting to do more simple things like watching videos and watching shows and movies, and not really wanting to play video games anymore. At that period of time that I was working that job, there were a lot of times where I didn't really want to get up and do anything. I would feel like it was a curse for me to have to wake up and actually go about my day and take care of my responsibilities. I just wanted to go to bed and not wake up sometimes, and that was not fun. And I also had points in time where I was trying to get help for my issues, but I was trying to do it in a form that wasn't super professional, which was using YouTube and other sources to try and research things about philosophy, religion, and psychology to try and learn more about how to deal with my issues. Of course, that stuff, it did help me, but it still wasn't a super great idea to go so long without getting professional help. And so my personality pretty much got fragmented, and I spent a lot of time trying to pretty much pick the pieces back up and put them back together again. And so now my memory's better, but I'm still having issues. The damage to my brain from the depression still affects me to this day, and hopefully I can recover even more, but still trying to figure things out, still trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, and I'm still trying to get professional help for my issues. And, yeah. So that's it for this video. Peace.